and you take both of them away with Andy Dalton back there against a Washington front that features 5 first-round picks in the rotation, features a Tim Settle, who, by the way, people don't know him. He had the last sack of the day on Andy Dalton, which was a huge one, just before the 4th down fake punt. Tim Settle made first-team All-Pro, Pro Football Weekly, Pro Football Focus Weekly All-Pro team. He made it last week.
Off the Cincinnati game.
Off the Cincinnati game. Well, he's pretty good. And you throw him in, and I'm looking at that Cole Holcomb from North Carolina.
He's a thumper.
Hey, every time I look up, number 55's in the middle of something. You can't tell me that's not a really good front. Is it maybe a top 5 front?
They're very good. And you see the way they built it, those 2 tackles with Allen and Payne.
Okay, so help me out. If you take away Zach Martin and Cam Irving and you put in 2 undrafted kids, and they are just flat-out kids, what do you think's going to happen the rest of the game? We're almost certainly going to lose that game because we're just not talented enough to be able to hold up for 4 quarters against that front, and in the end, we couldn't. So I don't care what anybody says. We would have won the game if those 2 guys had not gone down. So for me, when it comes to my team, my Dallas Cowboys, I had nothing to give thanks for yesterday because to me, it felt like the whole season was not meant to be. You've been involved in seasons where for whatever reason, the injury god said, no, not this year. You got to wait until next year. So my team is officially now waiting to next year, and I was already waiting till next year after the first series.
Skip, you still, look, it's still a bad division. You're 1 game back.
There's no way. Not with those 2 kids at the tackles. I got no shot.
You don't know if they're not coming. You don't know if Zach Martin and Cam Irvin's not coming back.
Zach Martin tore his calf muscle. It was already nagging during the week. They listed him with the calf on the injury report, and I'm pretty sure it completely tore. And you know and I know, it's just like a hamstring. Once it goes, you are done.
Well, he can't put anything because he's not going to be able to push off or he's going to be able to stop the rush.
Cam Irving put a brace on his knee, and I don't know exactly which one, but he came back out without his helmet and at least watched the game. Can he come back and play left? I have no idea. I just don't love my prospects from here on. But now back to your point. It did come down to a 4th and 1, and the game is still 10-10. And I'm okay with my coach saying it's 4th and 1. You know, you're in your territory, but again, if you have a play that you say, we got this, then I don't mind it, but you better have the right play at the right time. So do you give it to your $90 million running back? Well, he's out of the equation. We're going to talk more about him in just a minute, but I will just tell you right now, they have decided he is not worthy or capable of 4th, and that wasn't 1, that was a half yard.
It's inches.
Okay, it was a matter of inches, and they're still saying that number 21 we cannot trust to get inches. Because he just moves too slowly. He doesn't hit the hole with the force he used to. He doesn't have the breakaway burst he used to. And they said, okay, we got choices here. We say number 21, no. Dalton Sneak, I would have gone with Dalton Sneak if that's what you want to do, because he got 2 more short ones on 3rd down and 1 4th down later in the game. Okay, if you have a pass play, I'm talking about a pass play that might break for the whole, go to the house with it, okay? But they had been picking on Ronald Darby the whole game. Dalton had just thrown a 54-yard touchdown pass, right? So he decides, let's throw it to CeeDee Lamb on Darby. Well, Darby was all over him. In fact, he was, if we could see it again, he's so all over him, it's blatant pass interference. He gets there so early. He tackled CeeDee Lamb before he had a chance to even get his arms up to catch the football.
I think the thing is, Skip, why they didn't call it is because CeeDee is already starting to fall down. So they're like, nah, we're not going to bail you out.
He is there too early. Whatever. But it's hard for me to dredge up much emotion about it because Dalton Schultz simultaneously is disqualifying the pass interference because it's going to get canceled. It's going to get nullified by the fact that Dalton Schultz loses his mind, a kid from Stanford, and dives on one of the Washington football team players. Well, I don't know what you're doing, okay? And now, CeeDee Lamb, I've raved about him all year. I made the mistake of raving about him too much yesterday because he had by far his worst game as a professional football player, including a play late in the third quarter in which this is after the Jalen Smith run back that he got tracked down by McLaurin. We know that. So it's 1st and goal at the 4. Zeke obviously starts off that series by going nowhere. He goes -2. Then they try some weird reverse run to CeeDee that gets blown up and goes nowhere. And
it looked like it was going to be a pass, though, Skip.
He was going to throw it to Andy Dalton.
Yep.
Okay, but it got blown up, and Washington was all over all the tricks, okay? But then on 3rd down, Andy Dalton drops back, and he's got heat in his face, and he fires a flat-out rocket strike right on the button to CeeDee Lamb, who made the NFL catch of the year at Minnesota in the end zone. And this one must have been too easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just too easy.
Sometimes the easy ones that get you, Skip.
It almost hit him in the face, and it went right through his mitts, and it's the drop of the year for the Dallas Cowboys because if you catch that ball, guess what? You're right in the, what would that have made the score? That would be... That would put them up, right?
It's
20-16. No, wouldn't it have put them up by 3? It would have been 23-20.
Right.
Okay, so you could... No, I'm sorry. They got the field goal there. It would have tied the game. Okay, so it ties the score going to the 4th quarter. Do I think my team would have won in the 4th quarter? Honestly, from my heart, I doubt it.
Right.
I doubt it, but at least... you're in the game. The final score was 41-16, and if he catches that ball, you're tied going to the 4th quarter.
Right.
Explain that to me, because you can't.
But I told you the Cowboys would score 16 points.
Okay.
But let me ask you this, Skip. You lose Zach Martin. You lose Cam Irving. Which one of those can tackle, and which one of those guys can call plays? Okay.
So here's what I think about Antonio Gibson. And right now, he is playing at a much higher level than Ezekiel Elliott.
There's no question about that.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But he had been averaging 58 yards rushing per game. He had his biggest game by far against
against the Cowboys.
Okay, so this time he's got a grand total of 55 yards, and we hadn't gotten to the fake punt. The fake punt came early in the 4th quarter, right after the CD drop, right? And they run. It was simply the single dumbest play call on fake punt that I have ever seen, and I have been covering the game far longer than you played the game. In my life, I've never seen a dumber play call because, to your point, Cedric Wilson, a high school quarterback in Memphis, went to Boise State. He looped so deep. He looped 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
So you give everybody a chance to catch up.
So help me out. You don't turn and go north. You're going south, 15 yards. You don't turn and go north until you are now going to have to cover. Think about this. You're going to have to run 25 yards to get a first down. Help me out. Who would call a play that would lose 15 yards when you need 4th and 10 to cover, right?
Well, Skip, it looks like, again, they're looking to try to throw the ball to the punter. So they have to loop. But, Skip, that's too far because the punter, Skip, once I see the punter take off, I'm going to cover him. At least fake like the ball's going over here. They snapped it over my head.
There's no surprise. No. You need on 4th and even on 4th and 4, you need a surprise attack.
Yes.
You need something. You snap it to the short man and he runs up the gut. Whatever it is. You snap it to the punter and he stands up and throws it to the perimeter, right? In this case, the new punter, he's only been there for 3 weeks, is Hunter Niswander. He is 6 feet 5 inches tall, and he's listed at 243, and he might weigh 250, okay? So he's like a tight end playing punter. So I assume they thought that he could catch it. And they also sent Goodwin out in a little, like a little loop into the middle, and he's wide open. But it looked like Cedric Wilson never even looked. It's like he put his head down and started going, and the Redskins had plenty of time to say, really?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do?
Well, they was trying to high low, because normally what happens, Skip, is that when the guy releases inside, the guy that's on the edge, he normally goes with him. But this time, for whatever reason, he didn't go. So now Cedric Wilson sees that, because Cedric is Skip, I got to pretend like I'm going to run it. And then at the last minute, I'm going to pull up and throw it.
So that is such a debacle. It's such a blow to the psyche of the football team, whatever psyche is left, that the defense comes out and then turns completely into the bad old days defense. And on the very next play, Antonio Gibson goes 23 yards untouched, and it looked like the play at Washington when he went 12 yards.
It was the exact same play. It was just further out.
It looked like the same play. And then very quickly in the next series, he goes 37 yards untouched.
That's the one. That was the same play, yeah.
And on the second one, he's waving to Donovan Wilson, the safety, okay? So my point is, look, he got 60 easy yards at the end, and he only had 55 up to that point. So they had done a credible job on stopping him or containing him, not on the whole Washington football team, because they went up with 180 yards rushing, and the other two backs are getting their share too.
Skip, but here's the thing. If Alex Smith was healthy, Skip, he can only do so much. He's not mobile anymore. Alex Smith used to have legs, but he can't go anywhere. Skip, they'd have beat the brakes off the Cowboys. That was the only reason the Cowboys were in the game.
Alex Smith had a QBR of 22 yesterday, scale of 0 to 100, so he was not good.
Right.
Andy Dalton, to me, was very good under the circumstance of having neither tackle. He had a QBR of 74 yesterday. I'll take that to my bank. That was good enough to win the game. Andy Dalton made the throw to CeeDee Lamb that should have tied the score. Well, what am I supposed to do with all this? It's just not meant to be. It was